You know, it's my worst nightmare, though.
If she says she doesn't want to be my friend.
First off, I don't care.
I went to Vegas. We were bad. It had me scared. We will never be going back. Welcome back to Catching Up with Katie. I promise we're not going to spend this entire episode talking about the Running Springs Invitational or whatever we're calling it. I feel like the last couple of episodes, it's just dominated the topic, okay? So we're going to give it a rest. We do have more updates coming with like lesson videos for that horse show, but we all have things that we did over the past few days that I think are interesting. I went to Vegas. They went to a Michelin 5-star restaurant.
Whoa. Only one star.
Oh, okay.
And they only do 3 stars.
Oh.
3's the best. Yeah.
Okay. So they did that, and I feel like we have some good stuff that we'll probably end up getting off on some tangents. So what would you like to start with?
How was Vegas?
Yeah. I want to know about that.
Have y'all been to Vegas?
No.
Yes.
You have?
No.
But not like I was work.
And that's the capacity I had been to Vegas. So like I went as a 13-year-old with my parents because my dad had a work convention and he was just like, hey, I'll bring y'all out. We went to like Cirque du Soleil and we took a day and went to the Grand Canyon because it's like hop and a skip.
Yeah.
So that was like the trip I had remembered. And that's where all my Vegas memories are from because the only other time I'd been to Vegas was to SHOT Show in January of like of 2018. So a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we had no budget to do anything. And like we were there with a company. And so we went to dinner with the company. And so that was like the meals we bought. And then like we spent all of our money on like cab fare. Like it was so expensive just to be there, you know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have I'm not going to say it was a bad experience, that trip. It just wasn't like the Vegas experience.
Right.
You know?
Do you feel like you got that now?
Yes and no, because we're old and boring now.
Yeah.
I think what I wanted from this trip, and I got it, was brain rot.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to not think about anything, and I wanted to remove myself from my phone a bit and sleep. And I have to go to the other side of the country to do that, I think. And so the travel wasn't bad. Got there, and it's like 2 hours earlier. So, you know, we got there early afternoon and did nothing the first day. Like we just went to sleep, took a nap, ordered in room service. We went down to the hotel to get gelato. I'm a gelato person now.
Okay.
You know me and my picky eating. At first, the word gelato spooked me. It had me scared.
Yeah.
It had me scared. For some reason, I thought that it was like not dairy. Why would I think that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, give me ice cream. But it's just, and y'all are like, yeah, we know what gelato is.
So it is dairy.
It is dairy.
So not more like a sorbet.
It's like more milk than cream.
Okay.
And it's stirred a lot slower. So there's not as much air pockets within it. It's not as light.
Yeah.
It's really dense, but it's like
almost
creamy. It's so good. And so I had gelato every day. Every day. Because there was like a little spot right below the elevators.
Yeah.
And I just whip right in there and get some gelato. Because I've been trying to be good and like, not necessarily diet, but just be healthy at home.
Right.
We were bad.
On vacation.
We were bad. The one mistake we did make, because we pre-planned shows, we did not pre-book our dinners.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get to go anywhere that like that was the thing that Jonathan wanted to do. And he didn't book anywhere and he didn't like he just talked about it a lot. I guess I should have.
Yeah. And you're not getting it like day of.
No. Like weeks out.
Yeah.
Oh,
on some of these places. You could get in at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we just were not rolling like that. We stayed the Venetian, which is cool because all of their rooms are like suites.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have a regular room option. And we went to see I got in trouble for having my phone out. I didn't know. This is me being dumb. I was taking little snippets. I wasn't sitting there like just holding my phone. I was just taking little snippets. Because at the beginning they said no flash photography or videography. I thought they meant like no flash.
Right. Just I can turn my flash off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I like was taking some snippets for like my little video I was making. And I got in trouble.
What is O?
It's a water Cirque du Soleil show.
Oh.
So like, yeah. Yeah. So it's like acrobats that
Who's monitoring that? Who's looking the crowd for phones?
I-
Did you get
they
like
were
caught?
on
Did
me.
they stop the show, or did they like somebody just like come up and whisper in your ear?
No, they came by and said photos only. And then I'm like, you had to be like zoning in because I wasn't holding it up long.
Yeah.
Like I
You
was just
had
like,
a suspicious look about you.
I guess. But we were also like on the aisle. And we were like just outside of the splash zone. So we had really good seats right in the middle. And it was very impressive. Like these people, I'm not gonna lie. If you're gonna go see some Cirque du Soleil shows, I've seen 2 now. I've seen O and Ka. I saw Ka the second day, and I've seen Ka twice because we went and saw it when I was a kid. And Ka is the one I think some people have passed away in the past
Really?
from like accidents. It's very intense. All of them are intense. Don't get me wrong. All of them, you could absolutely injure yourself. But there's a lot of like inverted stuff where you're like from really tall heights. And I mean, they had some like really tall skydiving in O. Skydiving. Cliff dive? No. I mean,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
you know, like
Yeah,
from the freaking ceiling, they're diving into the water.
that's skydiving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane. It was insane. They had like this. My favorite part of the whole show was where they had these swings and they had multiple people on them, and then they were like doing like 20 feet up in the air flips into the water. I mean, it was crazy. And so that was amazing. We went and saw Ka, which is more like action adventure, and it's like a storytelling, and so it's very it's more like a war scene
Yeah.
type deal, and so there's a lot more like karate, like fighting and stuff like that. At 10 o'clock at night when we came out from Ka, it was 108 degrees still.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
We will never be going back.
Was it dry? It was dry though, right?
Here's the thing about dry heat. It feels like you're in an air fryer. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that it's dry
It's
when
nice,
it's 108.
Right.
Maybe it's nice when it's 90.
Yeah.
108.
Is it still 108?
Like when we would walk out, it was never really long to get like a car. When we had like a car service, we call it at night when there was like a really long line. But
yeah.
you still had to wait 5 to 10 minutes, you know, regardless. And you walk outside, and I will say it doesn't like smack you in the face like humidity does. You know, 100 degrees here with 70, 80% humidity. It's like,
Soup.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're drenched immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it is. You walk out and you're like, oh, it's hot. And then you stand there, not in the sun, not moving, standing. And all of a sudden, I felt like my insides were being cooked. Like I was like, oh my God, like I have to go inside. Like
Yeah, you're burning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that was terrible. So we didn't really go outside that much. Like I don't feel like we really walked around that much. We just stayed in the hotel, went to shows, went to dinner, which honestly was kind of what I wanted out of this trip. I didn't really want a super exciting trip. Like we went to Fremont Street, and like I'd want to go back because they have a zip line.
Ooh.
And I didn't
How
get to.
big?
It's like it's not indoor, but it is indoor. Like they have this covering, like a holographic covering over the street.
Yeah.
So you're not in the sun, which is fantastic. It's still hot. And they have like vendors and shops and old hotels and stuff. And we went and ate, and you know, we lost a little money.
Yeah.
I'm
Went
pretty
to the
stingy.
casinos.
We did. I'm pretty stingy, and so I have like a very strict. I go in with a budget, and if I
Run
lose,
out,
I
you
lose.
run out,
You know,
yeah.
like I don't like.
What did you play?
So we did a little roulette,
Okay. Yeah.
Favorite.
and I feel like that's
Some of the best odds.
That's the only one that I actually got up on. I
Yeah.
should have just stayed at roulette.
Yeah.
Because if you just like I was just like black odd.
Yeah.
You know, like I was just choosing the like best odds and just most of the time hitting it. But I do love a good like I'm the worst slot machine person ever because I want the bonus so bad.
Yeah.
I want it so bad. And like sometimes you go on a new machine, two rolls in, bonus. And
Yep.
it's like I'm chasing that high
Yeah.
the rest of the night, and then I'm down. And so
It's
but
gonna hit.
it was still like if you go into it with like a budget that you're okay losing, and then you don't go past that budget, you're just paying for entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how I looked at it. I was like, I didn't want to go shopping at Gucci. I didn't want to go spend a bunch of money on like stuff that just to spend money. Like we made sure we made it last and had like good evenings out of it,
Yeah.
you know? And so I just looked at it as like I was just paying for entertainment.
You know, they say most people stop right before they would have hit it big.
Stop it.
So
Stop
when
it.
you have that feeling of,
So we did end up making most of the money back because me and Jonathan both on the last day, we were on these buffalo machines.
Yeah.
And they did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a slots guy because I have no idea what I'm looking at. I'm going to hit the button. It's going to go do, 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 and then it stops. And I go, did
That's why
I win?
And that's
I just
why
wait for
I'm
the
such
ding,
a
ding,
sucker.
ding, ding, ding. If I don't hear that,
That's why I'm such a
next.
sucker because I go for the ones that have very distinct, like they know me so well. They
Yeah.
know how to get me. Like they've got the 3 pots of whatever. It's all
Yeah.
the same formula. And if you get on like you know, as you get these gems or as you get these whatever, it feeds the pot and then you get to the bonus. Well, it'll get to the very end and it'll do that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so you just think
The next one.
the next one. And
One more.
but you can physically see it.
Yeah.
And so it holds you there. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I love it. I love it a
I'm the
little.
same way.
I think I
Too
would
much.
like blackjack or something like that. I've never played cards at a casino. Ever.
I get worried about doing it because what if I like accidentally bet my house, you know?
No, they'll have a max bet unless you go into like one of. They probably have a room. Right. I'm gonna pay to go play in that room, and they go right this way. Bet your house. I don't know. I don't know the
I
rules.
used to follow
I
a
don't know
guy
the
that
rules.
used to gamble a lot and like knew all the stuff. It's too much for me. Didn't we stop at his place one time? Throughout that whole story, I was thinking like, didn't we drive home from a horse show or whatever, like in the middle of the night, like stop at some like hole in the wall casino?
Did you?
This seems like such a faint memory. We just driving
It's
like,
so
oh my gosh,
distant.
there's a casino here. Like we should totally do that.
They
And
were
we did.
gambling on the clock.
We were on the
No,
way
we
home.
were on the way
from something.
home.
And it was like we were driving all night. Anyway, I feel, but that it couldn't
Can't
have been
remember.
anybody else but you. So I can't, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my input.
I already know the comments are going to be like, oh, you're promoting gambling on your channel. And I'm telling you,
I like
they
ride
are
that high.
manipulative. They will make you lose so much money. Don't do it unless you go in with a very strict mindset and you can have the restraint to be like, okay, I feel comfortable losing $20. Maybe you put in $20 and you win some money. Cool. If you put in $20 and you lose, you have to be able to walk away. And it's hard. So if you're not like going into it with a very strict, this is how much I'm spending, and I know that I'm trading this money for the entertainment of this.
Yeah.
Then I think it's like don't go into it as like I'm gonna make money this way.
Yeah.
How I go into it.
Don't be like, don't go be like, I've got half my rent and I'm about to have all of it. And I can't do that.
No.
But that's how, I used to go to the horse races back home because we have a horse track not far from our house. And I mean, I'm not a gambler. Can't do it. Peak anxiety. I mean, we're talking, I'll put $2 on the line, immediately regret it, cannot stand the feeling of not, like, it's crazy, but I have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be like, okay, I'm going to go, I have $20. I can do $2 for 10 races.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go, okay, I'll put, if I like pick a horse and actually put $2 on it, I feel like I'm in it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have so much more fun, be like, watching the race than if I just was like, they're
See,
just
like,
running.
I don't put that into gambling necessarily. I know it is.
Right.
I know it is. But if
I would
you-
have paid $2 to have the elevated fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you're in this realm of like, you're enhancing your entertainment and you're trading that money for the enhanced entertainment, not so much.
I'm not trying to win per se. I'm just trying to have
sports
more
betting.
fun.
Right.
That's why I like when I sports bet. I don't do it anymore for the same reason because it's the same thing. Well, because then I got to where, buddy, I was is the next down going to be a run or a pass? Like $100. I'm just kidding. I can make it all back. It's a 50-50 shot. I'm the dude, and I'm the worst to like. And Katie, like, people can get me going, buddy. I mean, get me fired up to where, like, dude, like, you know what? I may lose my house, but I might not. you know, and that might not.
I might get
Oh my
your
God.
house.
So Matt's not allowed to gamble.
I don't, dude. I don't. I really don't. Like I went on a little sports betting kick for a while. I went to a casino like 3 times in my life. That's just not the place for me, and I know that, so I just don't go. But sports betting, I can get behind. And if somebody gets, because it's just like, boy, they get you. Like you said, you get into the game more. Like, who gives a crap if the Saints are playing the Steelers unless you got $5?
Unless you got $5, and it's like that's my team.
Yeah,
I need them to win.
Right.
So, but anyway, I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you were safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we it's exactly the trip that we needed. And
Good.
eventually I would like to go with friends or like, you know,
Mhm.
I think the next time we go, if it's not 100 and something degrees, like we will go when it is more temperate. I would like to do like the Grand Canyon and
Mhm.
go to Arizona for a couple days because I want to go turquoise shopping.
Do they have turquoise?
Is that like the motherland
I don't know.
Did I
Oh
tell
yeah,
you to-
Arizona is like the motherland
brother.
of turquoise.
Yeah.
Like
I
you
know
can
that.
find turquoise mines in a lot of places, but like that's where
Would you go mine it yourself?
I do think they have some experiences that I would be so down to do where you can go to the mines, get raw turquoise, or like there's like native artists in the area that you can like have make pieces
Yeah.
for you. Like, oh,
That's
I
cool.
would be so I would be so down. So I think that the next time we go that direction, I
Yeah.
want to include that in the trip.
We should. To this day, my favorite thing we've ever done, ever, anything, horse shows, anything, has been that Oregon trip. I loved
We
it.
don't need to talk about the Oregon trip of why it was your favorite.
I loved it. Well, that aside, but it was just literally like the scenery. Oh my God! I mean,
the elk in the morning.
The elk in the mornings, dude. Like you're the cat. I mean, you would have absolutely just. I don't even know why you didn't go. This was
Only
first
needed
year
one
stuff.
person.
I don't think we could put that many people on the boat.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Maybe that.
I think that was
it.
the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that was like if we went on.
What a
little,
flop of a video.
I know. Nobody cared, dude. It was so much fun. Talk about just doing something with friends.
We
Of
would have
course-
just done it differently now. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We didn't know
that
what we
was
were doing.
But anyway, yeah, favorite trip. I wish we'd do that again at some point. But gosh, talk about inconvenience across the whole freaking country. To drive is like a day and a half, 2 days. To fly it's still forever.
Wait, did y'all drive?
No, we
No,
flew.
Oh my
Where'd
gosh.
you came from a Muscadine show.
Yeah.
So
Because remember you didn't sleep and you hadn't slept. Like
I freaking had a Uber for like an hour and a half, didn't I?
it was some sort of long story, and then we went to go pick you up, and you were just like on the side of the
Yeah,
road.
some small podunk town in Oregon, just going. Yeah, that was the longest Uber I ever had. I just like it was some sweet old lady. I was like, I can't even believe that you even took this job. So he was like, well, I just happened to be.
I was
Um,
nearby.
And you cooked us salmon
I did.
and made me eat it.
Oh, it's so much fun. I just thinking about the scenery, the boat, and
Our guide hated his life though, and
I
made the trip
know.
suck. He
That's a bummer.
sucked.
I have been
If you're watching
twice.
this,
Twice after we went, and I fly fished twice. Once was in Oregon, again after we went, and it was such a better. They were all our age. Everybody's
he
vibing.
wasn't that
Everybody's
old. It
hanging
was just
out.
that. So here's the deal with it. We had purchased this trip at a, like, you know how you can go to like wildlife conservation auctions, and when you
Yeah.
buy like a hunt or a fish, like they had donated it, and that money goes towards conservation. So we had bid on this fishing trip. We got the fishing trip. And so it was months later, like this trip wasn't making, I mean, of course we were going to tip him, but like this wasn't a money making trip for him because he had
Right.
donated it. And he, you know, I get that it wasn't like the most perfect day of fishing. We weren't catching that many fish, but you can still have a fun time on a boat with a bunch of friends. Like
Yeah.
he was just like, I don't even know why we're out here. Like y'all aren't going to catch anything. And just like,
That's crazy.
like so we didn't,
Everybody's
we-
in our life jackets, going, "Oh my gosh, we're in Oregon."
We're
I
so
don't even-
I don't even know why
excited.
you came.
I don't even think we went the second day because it was so,
That sounds right. It was
or we
forever
quit the
ago.
first, or like after the first half, we were like, let's just be done then. Oh my God. Like he
Yeah.
was that derogatory and
That's a bummer.
rude and like just really a buzzkill. And so then we were like, we'll have more fun sitting at the freaking cabin watching
Yeah.
scenery than this. And
We
we're
did.
usually a chill time. Like,
Was this the bear escapade or is this
yes.
I was almost gonna say bear, but I couldn't remember if it was a bear or not.
My husband was so angry with me because Rebecca and Evan were on this trip too, which is my best friend and her husband. And Rebecca and I were mean. And we were like, let's pretend there's a bear and see what they do. And so it's the morning that we're leaving and it's 4 a.m. It's dark. and they'd already told us like, hey, you have to put the trash cans here because of the bears and like whatever. And so I walk out with my bag and I'm like, oh, there's a bear. Oh my God. And like start freaking out. And Rebecca is like freaking out too. And Jonathan leaps through the door and like almost breaks his leg. Like almost breaks his leg trying to get out the door and to us, and is like going to hurt himself and falls. And it's like way worse than we thought they would have just ran out. You know?
Right.
But it was just like the worst case scenario on him falling.
5 minutes ago, he was laying in bed saying, oh my gosh, this the only thing that can make this trip better if there was a bear like right outside the door.
We were like packing ready to go. Like we were like leaving. And so he was so angry. Evan just was like, what? It was so early. Evan, like that's what Rebecca was. She's like, what if I had been me? You didn't even run out here.
Yeah.
But they're both very heroic macho men. And so we were like, let's see
what they'll do.
So anyway, that was,
I'm not.
I got in trouble for that.
Mm-mm.
You what?
So I guess I'm not a heroic man.
I'm trying to remember why we weren't really counting you in on that.
Don't save it. You don't have to save it. But anyway, yes, we should do that.
We're
again
not
at
your
some
women,
point.
you know?
That's right.
Like there's a
So
bear.
I felt no obligation.
You just run to the window.
Get out of bed.
You just run to the window.
I'm trying to remember. There was one other thing. Oh, yeah. That was also, I don't think I've ever experienced a time where I thought that I was actually going to not make it to the bathroom.
On that trip.
As in the Oregon airport. I don't know what we ate. Maybe it was the salmon.
Coming home?
Coming home.
Very possible.
It was so bad. We almost missed our flight. Me and Jonathan. Both of us. It was horrible.
We saw wild horses. Anyway,
we
this
did.
This
we saw wild horses in the mountains, and he's like, I've never seen them before. Like, he was just so, he just
The guide?
Yes. He just sucked so bad.
So he's been there a long time, and this is his first sighting. He's like,
Yeah, seriously.
Stupid horses over there, if you want to see them.
It was wild. It was the most beautiful thing, like the silhouettes of them over these, like, mountains. He was buzzkill. Anyway. We got really off on a tangent there. Please tell us. They went on a date this past week. Last Wednesday, we finished filming, and then I walk out, and Nate's wife Macy was already coming because she's been helping lay out some spaces in the shop and furnishing them and all the things, and so she was here for that reason. And I look out, and there are just shirts, pants, jackets hung up everywhere, and it's like
options.
Nate's closet. Because I'll let you take it from here, booked a very special restaurant.
Yeah. Bucket list thing, I think.
Yeah. In which I had asked Macy, what should I wear? And she said, wear these nice jeans, wear this shirt, picked out my outfit. Perfect. Matt comes strolling through the door, brand new suit, had just went and like, we are too uneven. So then I called Macy. I was like, bring everything. All of it.
Two different interpretations of business casual.
Yeah.
So was when y'all did dress up, because you went with like sports coats.
Yeah.
You know, no tie.
No tie.
But when you got there and you're wearing sports coats, slacks, nice dress shoes, did you go with socks or no socks?
I went with no socks.
No socks. So like, were you met with people wearing the same garb?
Yes and no. I was a little disappointed
in some of the people.
I'm just thinking, like, you go like, and it just goes to care, dude. Like, going on a tangent about PJs in the airport and stuff, but
I wear PJs in the airport for sure.
Exactly. That's why I skipped it. You got people like you, and no, it's just like you go to this is a Michelin-star restaurant to prep. We haven't even discussed that yet. It's a Michelin. We've always wanted to go to a Michelin-star restaurant, and we finally decided to do it. We booked like 4 weeks out. One star.
One Michelin-star.
There are 3 stars. This one had 1.
There's 3 restaurants in Nashville who have 1 star.
The closest 2-star you can go is where? New Jersey or something.
It's like 5 or 6 hours away, I think.
Like the closest 3 stars all the way in New York. Like, they're not just
around.
But I always wanted to go, and we just had like, this idea, you go there and you dress nice, and those things said business casual, and you got guys in there in shorts,
Not business casual.
not business casual, and I was just a little. I'm glad everybody. I don't care at the end of the day, but it's just like
Sounds like he cares.
I almost felt bad for the restaurant. I feel like I pay a little homage to the like. You clearly did something here to get a Michelin-star, so I'm going.
I'm gonna show up with a little.
I guess, and I understand you're going there to get served food and all that good stuff, but that's just my little.
Shorts is crazy.
Yeah, that was my take on it.
Shorts is crazy.
Other than that, it was.
Exquisite.
Exceeded my expectations. You said it really, really well. It was the first time. I'm trying to remember your words. The first time I've tried something new, and it fully. I'm trying to remember how you said it.
It fully exceeded all expectations.
Along those lines, it's like you go to like you'll see the Odyssey or whatever. You're super excited, but and it was good, but it's never like whatever. Like you go fishing in Oregon, like it was great. The guy kind of sucked, and it was like everything I ever wanted it to be and more. And like there's a handful of times in my life that's ever been the situation.
Yeah, there wasn't. I was not let down in a single area.
I wish it had been a little bit like this. I wish there was none.
There was not one thing.
How many courses was it?
14.
Yes.
Actually, let me grab the menu. I don't know.
While he's
Hold.
gone, it was 14 courses, all super like put together. Like, it was again everything I wanted.
Everything was like this
yes,
big.
if they came out with like a half rack of ribs, I'd have got out. That's not true, but everything I wanted to be. I really do think, as much as like a picky eater as you are, it was one of those things. It's like, I don't like cottage cheese. I don't like whatever. I don't like meatloaf. You can have all these things and all these things be true, and 90% of things that you are served or whatever you would not like. But this is like whatever they say to you. It's never like you've never experienced a flavor profile like that, and it's going to be like nothing you've ever tasted before. You've never had this combination of flavors. Like they had like it was hard for me to spot it there, but like
I just said that I got spooked by the word gelato.
exactly. Like
Right.
we're talking about like hay smoked oysters and what they just put in the sauce. Like like that was just the sauce that they put in the zucchini bread. Like
I have a mental block. It's not even.
exactly.
It's a mental block.
You get past all of that, and it was like, and you're just like, hey, this is something that I want you to experience. Whatever. That's how I took everything. They could have said, here, have this.
And I think
And I
that's
would've
part
had
of it is because there's certainly some things that I would see on a menu and go, I'm not ordering that. This felt different in that, like,
Trusted them.
I'm like, okay, this chef got a Michelin-star. He specifically said, this is what you need to eat. Not, well, we have some things, pick what you want. People don't like this one thing. I was like, no. This is the best of what I have.
Yeah. Of course, all the
You need to
ingredients
try it.
locally sourced, like down to like grew their own flours for like the.
They told you
like,
everywhere everything came from. We got this from this farm, this from this place.
I forgot what she said. They're called something. The people that bring you alcohol.
Sommelier.
Yeah.
Sommelier, yeah.
They were very, very apt on like, hey, this.
Fun fact.
Yes.
Do you remember at my birthday party meeting my friend Sarah, who she's a fellow like horse girl, and so she's who I'm working on the versatility challenge with.
I think so, yes.
I think you did meet her.
I think I did.
Her husband is the sommelier. I remember when he was going through all of his schooling like 20 years ago when I was like a kid and we were showing horses
Yeah.
together. And it's insane. Like
Insane.
he's a very high level sommelier. It's insane.
Yeah, you don't just go get a job as like
Like,
you
the
have to
rigorous
study.
training these
Oh,
people
yeah.
go through to be able to pair specific notes of like a wine or whatever with food. Anyway, back to your story.
Is noted down to like even like the people like if they didn't really have waiters, but they had like service. But like like even like restaurants that aren't Michelin-star, like you get to that level of food service, like you don't just like you have to have experience. Like you have to like you go through training, they test you out and stuff like that. You don't just go get a job. So it's like like you said, like you have to go through schooling.
It's
to
an
have all this
art.
stuff. It really is. Like
And
she's telling me like you're gonna get these hints of like you're gonna start and this is what you're gonna experience in this wine. On the back end of that sip, you're gonna get some little quarts. You're gonna get, and I was like, first off, I don't care, but I want you to tell me this. Like, I'm loving every bit of this. Like, I'm going to drink this regardless of what you say, but I love it. It's
Like
just what I
my
want.
reaction is gonna be, wow.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna necessarily I'm not gonna taste it. You're gonna say you're gonna get a note of this, and I'm gonna go, I don't know, but it's really good.
I tried to pretend. I tried to be like, and I tried.
Did you do this?
Oh,
like,
I did it every time. Every time.
Every time.
You
And
the wine?
Nate caught
Do a
me with
little-
like how to hold a chilled wine
Yeah,
versus
'cause
like a warm
Holding
wine
the glass
and stuff
versus
like
the
that.
stem.
Did you do the little?
Yes. Other than spitting it out, I did it all. The aerating the
course.
wine.
Next
like,
time, hit him with one of these. It doesn't.
Hit with one of these.
It's
I was like, is that
listen,
something?
listen.
One of
to- no,
I really don't do that to me because I'm like, I'll throw that in. I'll be like, and then I'm gonna look stupid. But I tried to be like, she'd come in and like even time the chef would come in and be like, hey, this is this. I'd be like, oh, as of course it
Of
is.
course. Yes.
Yeah. As one would pair.
I can visualize you two at this restaurant.
Yeah, that's fine.
You what you're picturing is exactly what happened.
It was just, like I'm looking at the post omelet. Couldn't even.
Oh my god, that was the best omelet I've ever
Wasn't
had in
even
my life.
but it wasn't even an omelet to me. Anyway, I can sit here and just.
It was this big.
Yeah.
The omelet was this big.
We pulled the two head chefs aside.
Exquisite.
Like we thanked them profusely for everything that they had done. We literally, and this will be the last thing I throw at it, shed tears. And I don't remember
We did.
if it was the chicken wing, but they were like, first off, it's like, when something's so fun or
No,
whatever,
it
that
wasn't
you,
the
that
chicken
you can't help
wing.
but giggle, like it's really hard to explain when something's like we were eating food that was making me laugh. I was so happy and it tasted so good. Like kid felt out of body to take whatever it was that we took a bite of and literally we were joking around that I think I'm gonna cry. We literally started crying.
It was just that good of an experience.
The more you two talk about this experience, the more solidified I am in my decision that I don't deserve to go to this restaurant.
But we talked about you.
We did. We talked about you while we were there.
We said
eating.
Jonathan would love this food and Katie would love this whole experience.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, can you just grill me a chicken breast? I'll just watch and experience it. But I just
I don't know if it's proper to be like, you can just bring her everything and she just everything so plated perfectly and she just it's great.
I mean,
or I'll just swap with Jonathan when he's done. He just gets a double of everything.
They would bring out 4 things and then they would explain it and say, eat this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. It was perfect.
You know, it's my worst nightmare though. Going to that restaurant. Let's say the plan was that I was just gonna swap plates with Jonathan and let him be the cleanup dog, right? Eat everything, and I'll just be there for the vibes. Well, the worst case experience would be he's not my favorite and doesn't want to eat mine, and then I have to sit there and look at it, and the chef comes over and goes, "What was wrong with it?" My worst nightmare.
But there is not one thing on that menu that was not just so delicious.
On the other side of that, if on the off chance that I tasted something and I was like, ugh, I would never. I would pretend. I would just because I'm like that. Well, I'm here for this experience. I'm going to at least pretend to like it.
It was legitimately food on a level that I've tasted things that I've just
tour.
crazy.
Okay, well, now we have to go to these other two in Nashville, and now we have to know what a 2-star Michelin restaurant looks like. And now
we're going to start hitting them all.
Are 1, 2, and 3 Michelin-star restaurants, are they pretty much all tasting menus that they serve you, or some of them they actually just have a menu that you order off?
You go to Gordon Ramsay's or whatever has one. You do his beef Wellington or whatever. That's a whole. I mean, it's still probably proportional. It's probably not something you're going to get at Martin's where you can get 2 days worth of food. But you can still get not a tasting menu. I feel we looked it up the difference of 2 and 3 and all that good stuff. But it's the equivalent of going to Universal. That was the equivalent of me going to Six Flags or something like that. For me to go to a 2-star Michelin restaurant would be the same as oh, do you want to go to a Universal?
Okay, so if you said, hey, we go to Universal every year, they're saying, actually what we're going to do instead is we're just going to go to this restaurant.
It would be the equivalent of that.
Now, after having experienced one, you could say, hey, there's a Michelin-star restaurant nearby. We're just going to do that instead. I mean, buckle up, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
It's not for the sake of going. It's just like I need to know it. I've experienced this. I have to know what that's like.
So are the wives invited to the next one?
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. and to brag on mine a bit, she actually worked on this restaurant designing
I
it.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
Tell
she
us about
wasn't the lead designer on this restaurant, but she was a designer on the rrestaurant.
Did you hit them with
exquisite.
that at the restaurant? Did you say my wife actually
I did,
designed
and they
this?
said, "Tell your wife thank you, and please come back with her."
You should be like, on
And
the
I said,
house?
"I will. I'm bringing her." So there's 3 Michelin-star restaurants in Nashville, and there's the Catbird Seat, which is the one we're referencing where we went, and then there's Bastion, which is the oldest one here, and then the other one is Locust. And I said Locust, and Macy goes, "Oh, I designed that one." I'm like, "You did 2 of the 3, at least worked on them,
Mhm.
Michelin-star restaurants in this state?"
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So when I say, yeah, Macy's helping design some of the shop, like,
It's noteworthy.
She's done a
pretty
lot of cool stuff. She's really good and really cool.
it was funny because, y'all left for your date after we got finished filming. Like, they showered here and
Yeah.
like got ready here. And so Macy and their little girl were hanging out and playing around. We went and saw the little miniature animals and stuff. And so like Macy just hung out afterwards, and we got to hang out for a bit. And like, we just hung out while the men left for their date. And it was quite funny.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know
Matt
if I'd
left
have had
his
a
wife.
good time.
Matt left his wife and newborn.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. What was I supposed to do? Bring the baby? When at the time of the,
What do I do? Not
It wouldn't
go?
have worked there though.
it wouldn't have worked there.
So the way the seating is, it's just a bar. There's no tables.
All
It's
around the
one U bar, so you would have to sit 4 in a line,
Mm.
all sitting at the bar. So you couldn't really like converse
yeah.
long distance. So
Unless you had a corner, I guess.
3 is probably the max amount, or somebody will get left out on the end. But I think the other ones are more table. Like I think Locust is
Yeah.
table. I think there's more like seafood, and it's a menu. I think you can choose what you want. I'm excited.
There,
to
I
go.
would
If
have
I was
rather
able-
experienced that.
If I was able to choose, here's the problem though. Even choosing something off the menu, I'd be like, hey, so can we do this and substitute this and substitute this and da 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 da? And they'd be like, that's like not what we do here.
Yeah.
Like I would offend somebody. I would.
But it's got to be at least worth trying. Even if you're like, hey, I know that I have a very particular set of taste buds, and it's going to be a challenge for me to do.
Like, could you get yourself to take a couple bites?
So okay, here's the problem. I've worked for 30 years trying to explain my food issue.
Yeah.
It's like a mental block. It's not that I don't understand that something might taste good.
I get that.
And I
Right,
need to
yeah.
try it.
I get that.
And it's such a like I want to go do that.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm here for it. It's like a fear. I don't know why.
Yes.
I don't know why, and I don't know what is in me that's like afraid of trying this new thing, because there has been times where growing up, like my parents were like, you eat like sit here
Right.
at this table until you eat this and then whatever. And I would like throw up. Like
Yeah.
it go in, and I would just like, I can feel it now. Like I would immediately just throw it up. And then it got to where I'd go to friends' houses, or for instance, like one of the first times I ever went to Jonathan's family's house, they cooked something that I was like, nope. And I tried, and I like gagged in
Yeah.
front of everyone. And how embarrassing is that? How like disrespectful is that to gag on someone's food that they prepared for you? Like, and so I got to where I was just like afraid to try stuff in front
Yeah.
of people that prepared it, because I was like, what if, like, I don't know. And then, so now I just don't.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Kind of like
That's fair.
taking medicine, like swallowing like a whole pill
And-
or multiple pills.
And now it for sure is just like this mental fear. I don't know why. I could not tell you why. I am a 30-year-old adult woman.
I have a 30-year-old
and
buddy that just tried ketchup for the first time the other day.
I could not explain to you why. And there's certain mental blocks that I can deal with better. Like if it's a meat and I understand what the texture is going to be like going into it,
Mhm.
even though it's something I haven't tried, I'm way better off.
Yeah.
I can pretty much do that.
Even if it looks weird. So like when they brought out,
Sauces and stuff mess with me.
okay.
See,
Sauce.
now that's like that's
Okay,
a,
but
a
okay,
big one.
could you compare? So the sauce looked weird, but only because it was two different sauces. Could you go?
I'm
I know
like,
what that sauce.
things can't touch on a plate
Okay,
kind of person.
Okay.
And I already know the diagnoses that are coming in the comments. I know.
I also
You're-
get that. Like, look,
I mean,
I'm
still
at the end
send
of the
them.
day, like I am that way on some things, and if mine was food, then it doesn't matter what you showed me. I would not go
I
to that
once
restaurant.
refused a second date with a guy because
He made you do the thing.
he was like insistent that I
Try
try
it.
something.
Try it.
And I was like, no, I'm good. Because I always start super like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, try it. And I was like, I promise. I'm fine. No, try it. We're not getting up till you try it. And I'm like, oh, buddy,
We're getting up.
we're getting up and you're not seeing me again.
We are getting up.
I get that. That being said, you really do need to go try that place. No, but it was you would have certainly and they were super cool. Like it was very much y'all again the vibe. It was almost like, what did I say?
I would love the vibe.
Woodshop Like everybody had like tan aprons, black shirts. Everybody was tatted up.
It's
Like
making me feel like we can't do any spoilers because it's a movie, but like the menu, like it's making me think of that.
It really was. And we just had such a cool chef like right in front of us who was super into D&D and
Yeah, it was
obviously
really
got to
sick.
connect. He's been DMing for the last 10 years. He loves to DM.
Yeah.
We
He had like all the monsters tattooed.
that he created like for his people and
It
stuff.
was sick.
Yeah.
We were trying to nerd out, and like he was he was
like,
trying to
he
nerd
was
out.
encouraging us. He was like, "Yeah, dude, talk to me whenever." And every time I'd like get a sentence out, he'd be like, "1 second, hands." I'm like, "Whatever, I'm just gonna."
Which is what he said. He said,
Yeah.
I'll talk to you all night. If I can't talk for a second, I'll just tell you." He's
There
like,
was never
"Come
a
on."
moment where I felt like this was a good time to be like, "Hey, so."
We're like
sweating
Well,
bullets. and whatnot.
also, okay, I have yet to come upon someone in the wild who plays D&D because I just don't talk to anybody in the wild. Like I forget because I'm talking to people all day long. Like I'm conversing with people all day long to where it doesn't feel like I never leave. It feels like I go to work every day. It feels like I'm social. It feels
Mhm.
like all these things. But then I realize like, oh my God, I haven't left the 2 farms in like a week. Like it's
This
wild.
is a big conversation piece. This has got when I got pulled over and on the chef, he saw my D20 dice and immediately made the connection. So this was a great idea. I didn't think anybody would ever get it, but now it's just doing nothing more but connect stuff for me.
But now I'm like, I don't converse with like a ton of people in person,
Mm-hmm.
like random strangers. And so I've never ran into a D&D-er out in the wild, but
Oh, you have.
you just made
You just
nothing
didn't
up.
talk about it.
okay, well, whatever. Well, do you feel intimidated being like a baby D&D-er?
No.
Talking to
No.
these people
I
who
get
are
more
like
excited.
I
It's
feel like-
10 years in?
Oh,
Yeah.
you watch the anime? Oh, dude, we should have instant like friendship. Like it's more of like oh, dude, sick. Like let's tell each other
I'm like,
everything.
let's talk about it.
Because
Teach me
Yeah.
something.
I feel like if we played Dungeons and Dragons with a dungeon master who was super experienced and like
He's not big on
very
the
well
rules.
rooted in the rules and
Yeah.
in the whatever, like I feel like we'd be like, oh, we're so stupid. We've been doing this wrong for a whole year. Like,
Well, one, I would want to know that, but two, he also was a big advocate on like not being completely.
He was
by the
like,
book.
"You're not."
He's like, y'all aren't like.
well, that's the
huge,
thing, because
rules
like
sticklers."
I like some of the rules we've created.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and everybody. I don't think. I'm sure there are, but everybody who plays D&D has done something, has had their own little sprinkle of something. It's all about having fun. I mean,
It's
if
house rules. It's
if
like going to
nobody's-
someone's house party
there
and
are
playing
house
beer pong.
rules.
Like there's just house
there's
rules.
house rules. So it's odd how many people do. I mean, of course, it's cool now, I guess, but yeah, a lot more than you think. I mean, if I'd have never had that conversation, then we'd have never met that guy.
Yeah.
And if I'd have let his 10 years of experience be like, oh, well, then who knows when I'd meet somebody else who plays D&D. So I just bit. Like, hey, do you want to play? It was like instantly.
And he said yes.
And he said yes.
Are y'all gonna like play a little preemptive game?
We'll
You
talk
think?
about it.
Like a one?
Yeah.
We'll discuss it. We've got some things going in the works. Some things are in the
We're
works.
Oh,
cooking.
we have like
We're
we have like
cooking a
a
little bit.
meeting. We have like a meeting coming up.
No, more of like an idea.
Yeah. Idea. A pitch.
Pitch.
A little more of a pitch of friendship than
Yeah.
anything.
Which those are the harder ones.
Those are the hard ones. Friendship pitches.
Yeah. But next time.
When am I getting pitched?
When are you getting pitched?
Whenever we're done with this
Yeah.
Katching Up Katie. They don't get to know it.
If she
Okay.
says she doesn't want to be my friend,
Yeah. On
I don't-
on live, you know.
I don't understand what this pitch could even be. So
See, this is Katie's thing.
I only said that line because I thought it'd be good in the intro. If she says she doesn't want to be my friend, I'm
But
gonna
this
lose
is
it.
Katie's like, no, you have to try this. Like, if we say, oh, let's forget about it. No. We're not showing horses
Explain.
today. We're not showing like the whole day scraps. Like, we're not leaving this podcast room until you tell me. That's Katie's thing right there.
or like they think that I'm not listening.
Oh my gosh! We were
Oh
doing a
my
test. Like, we built
gosh.
this room over like on the other side of this shop, and you're like, all right, let's test to see if like this is like a good private meeting. And it was like, yeah, we probably could have meetings up here unless you were Katie talking about her, and then she'd be able to hear you. Other than that, it is pretty quiet.
Okay, well, that was enough side tangents for the day. What we're about to go film, which will be
I love it, dude.
Oh,
what a little
whisper that was.
So what we're about to go film, which will be a separate video after this one, is I have to come back to the horse show. Nate and Matt are having their very first
I was
combined,
gonna do a bit on that. I forgot it.
their very first combined lesson with Stephanie doing a halter.
Is Rachel doing it?
No.
We will do a group of each of the events at some point, but not today.
We need
So-
more prep first before we get in
Yes.
there with other horses.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, hope y'all enjoyed and stay tuned for the next one.